actually to you, ma'am. So today, we are going to tackle a new lesson. But before that, let's have a game first, which is called Guess What Am I? I want you to just chill and play the game and just ready for the mechanics of the game. It has a 10 seconds to answer. The question is, are you ready? Okay, so let's start. I hope you enjoyed the game that I prepared and those learning methods that you encountered during the game are related to the lesson that you are about to learn. Now, do you have any idea what will be your lesson for today? So the lesson is The Cone of Learning by Edgar Dale. But before that, let's read first our learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the students are able to first, identify the different levels of cone of learning. Second, demonstrate each learning methods through role-play presentation. Number 3, recognize the importance of using cone of learning in teaching and learning process. This presentation will explain Edgar Dale's cone of learning. It is a model illustrating how effectively we retain information based on the learning methods we use. It also represents the knowledge retention after 2 weeks, depending on the level of active participation. But let's directly proceed to its guidelines, and I'll going to connect it to the cone of learning, each level. Let's break down each level of the cone of learning, starting with the most effective to least effective. The cone of learning shows how much information we remember depending on how we learn from it. The guidelines directly reflect the cone of learning's principle. They suggest using teaching methods that correspond to the higher levels of the cone, which is more active learning, to improve learning outcomes. So the first guideline is use of a direct purposeful experience with 90% of learning is retained. These are the most effective methods. Active involvement and hands-on experience lead to the highest retention rates. The more senses are engaged, the better the retention. These are, again, hands-on and experiential activities. Let's proceed to the number 2, which is participation. With 70% of learning is retained. It aligns with what we say level and active participation like discussions and presentations, just like this. This is one of the example of a participation. Third is passive participation. With 50% of learning is retained. This matches the hearing and seeing level. Students passively receive the information through multiple senses, such as watching a movie, looking at an exhibit, watching a demonstration. However, these methods are still primarily passive. Number 4 is through looking, with 30% of learning is retained. It aligns with what we see level like visual aids. No, this is one of the example. Looking pictures, diagrams can improve understanding, but without interaction, it remains moderate. So number 5 is through hearing, with 20% of learning is retained. Listening to a lecture or a conversation is slightly more effective than reading, but still it's passive. Active listening and note-taking are really crucial. And let's proceed to number 6, which is through reading, with 10% of learning is retained. This is the most passive method. While reading is essential, but still, simply reading text results in low retention. In a classroom setting, it requires active engagement to improve retention. So that's all the guidelines in relation to the cone of learning by using a variety of instruction materials and teaching methods that aligns with the different levels of the cone of learning. So teachers, or we as a future teachers, can cater to diverse learning styles and improve student learning and retention. Let's explain each type of instructional materials. So first, visual aids. It helps students learn by seeing. They can be concrete, like real things you can touch, or like a rock or a model. In terms of a abstract, like words or diagrams, such as pictures, charts, videos, maps, etc. Second is audio aids. This helps students learn by hearing. This could be recording of natural sounds like birds singing, or artificial sounds like music or a voice recording of a story. Third is audio-visual aids. This combine the seeing and hearing. For example, movies, videos, presentations with slides, and narration. Next is kinesthetic aids. This helps students learn by doing and touching. These are hands-on materials that students can manipulate, like building blocks, clays, or sports equipment. The focus is on physical activity and interaction. Last is experiential aids. This uses all the senses to help students learn. They often involve real-world activities and experiences like field trips, experiments, or simulations. The goal is to make learning engaging and memorable. So again, the cone of learning and using appropriate instruction materials, a valuable tool for understanding how we learn and remember. By embracing active learning strategies, we can enhance our learning experience and achieve a better long-term retention. Remember, the more actively involved we are, the more we retain. So that would be all in my presentation.